Hello and welcome to day 4 of Tips December. Today I wanted to talk about foundation lighteners. Now, there are a few that aren't mentioned here that I will link them in the description box. Hopefully you can still find them. I know that Giorgio Armani has released for the holiday collection a white maestro, fluid maestro foundation. So if you're stuck with the number 2 and it's too dark and you need to whiten that foundation, then go and grab the, is it 0 or 00, something like that, but it's basically white. Anyways, I'll put everything that I'm talking about in the description box so you'll be able to know. First thing, if you like a more glowy finish to your foundation and at the same time you want to lighten it a bit, then a good option is by Terry Cellular Rose Brightening CC Lumi Serum in shade 1, Immaculate White. Now this is very sheer, very fluid, so it would be best used for a tinted moisturizer or a very light coverage foundation, and it has a pearly finish to it. On a higher end note, there is Clé de Peau Beauté Teint Control Blanc, and this is basically a luminizing enhancer base. Now this has more coverage than the by Terry, so it will be more suitable for a medium coverage foundation, but this is still very fluid, so I wouldn't try and mix it with a cream or a very thick, with a compact cream or a very thick cream foundation. So I would try to stick within the same family of consistency, otherwise you might end up with a result that cakes or creases or whatnot. Again, this is also pearly white. Next, the famous MAC Face and Body Foundation in white. Unfortunately, this is only available in pro stores, I believe, and occasionally you might find it in regular stores. I'm not sure, don't quote me on that one. But this one, basically, you can use it on its own because it's so sheer and so beautiful that it can be a foundation on its own, or you can mix it with the shade 1, or if you tan in the summer, then you can go up to all the way up to shade 5, N5 or C5. They're both very gorgeous, and since they are buildable coverage, then like it can work for a wide range of skin tones. Sorry. Again, this is a very beautiful foundation liner, and yeah, I love it. Next is from Giorgio Armani. This is the Luminous Silk Foundation in 0. I'm not sure if it's still available. If it is, then you might be able to find it in odd places. I bought mine, I mean, so many years ago. Again, very beautiful. It is on the higher end coverage. It has similar coverage to the Luminous Silk Foundation, except that it's white. This is the shade 0. Matte Full Coverage Foundation in white. Again, this can be mixed with other foundations of very thick cream texture. So again, you don't have to restrict yourself to the same range. You can mix them as long as the consistencies are consistent. Next, Illamasqua Rich Liquid Foundation. This is the shade, oh gosh, this is the lightest shade that they sell. This stuff doesn't have the name on it. RF, I mean, I think 101 or 102. I mean, the lightest shade that you can get. Now, this has very high coverage, very high, and I personally do not like it. I will use this one only if I want some kind of clown makeup or something like that, because it can tend to look cakey, so I'm not fan of this rich liquid foundation. But I know that they made new formulations in white, so Illamasqua carries a lot of white foundations so that you can lighten your current foundation. Next, MAC Pure, oops, I'm eating a candy because my throat is very dry, so I don't want to cough all the time. MAC Pure White Paint Stick. Again, this can be mixed with other cream foundations. This is a pro product, but sometimes in Halloweens or special occasions they will release them in all stores. Illamasqua Cream Foundation. Again, this is the lightest shade, so just it's again it's a white with a pink undertone, if you wish. It is unnatural, to be honest. Like this is white. Of course, if you really blend it well, it can match, but it just ends up looking cakey and it ends up looking sort of fake. But if you're like into goth look, then this would work, of course. I'm not a big fan of this formulation. I would rather go with the MAC Full Coverage because it's much easier to blend and much easier to make it look like realistic skin, whereas this one can tend to cake and look very heavy. But if you're looking for maybe a more accessible option or slightly more affordable, then, or actually I think they range in the same price, so don't quote me on that. But this one has a pinkish undertone, which is different from the MAC White Full Coverage. Then something very affordable, it's the NYX Twin Cake in CP01 Pale. Now this isn't pure white, but it is very, very light or very close to being white. There you go. I would say it's an NW05, this one, so very, very pale. Again, you can use this to lighten your foundation. For example, if your liquid foundation is slightly too dark, but you enjoy the consistency, you enjoy the coverage, and you don't really have any option to get it lighter or to buy a lighter shade, then you can set your foundation with a foundation powder that's much lighter or lighter. Something more affordable, foundation cream by Berry M, and the shade is 1-243, basically the white shade. Again, this has a medium coverage. It is a thicker cream consistency. I do not like it. I do not personally enjoy this product, but I thought of letting you know about its existence. Bobbi Brown translucent sheer finish pressed powder in white. This has, as you can see, I've hit pan. This has saved me a lot of times because sometimes my foundation might look a bit muddy, or it might look slightly off, like maybe a hair too dark, and I would dust this on top and it would instantaneously brighten my foundation and sort of like correct that mismatch of tone, if you wish. Another option is the Shu Uemura pressed powder in lavender. This is what it looks like. Again, this will brighten, so if you have a foundation that's maybe slightly too sallow or slightly too yellow for you, or a hair darker, then you can dust these kind of powders on top, especially those that have a strong lavender undertone, and they will instantaneously brighten up and reduce that sallowness. Finally, MAC Hyper Real Pressed in Lavender FX. Again, I'm very sorry for mentioning this one. This is discontinued. Maybe you can find it on eBay, or if you swap with someone. This is the Hyper Real, which used to be a foundation with a lot of glow or glitter. Not glitter, but it was very, very glowy foundation. I absolutely loved it. They had the powder version, and in the Pro store they carried the special effects color, and this one was the lavender, which was to correct sallowness. And I mean, it has a coverage, so it can be used as a light coverage foundation on its own. It brightens mainly, and yeah, It has a slight pearlescent tint to it. And yeah, I think that's pretty much about it for foundation liners and how to lighten your foundation or correct sallowness, which which can easily happen if you have very, very pale skin. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you have any questions, comments, suggestions, drop them down below in the comments. I really, really love to read and interact with you guys, and I'll see you tomorrow. Bye bye.